Hello, 4-H alumni, and welcome to the 4-H alumni series Clover Connection, where we are hosting 4-H alumni to learn about their experiences in 4-H and how 4-H has impacted their life. My name is Tina Deal, and I serve as the 4-H alumni and constituent engagement manager here at the Illinois 4-H program. And joining us today is Priya. Priya is a 4-H alum from the state of Washington, but she currently is a student at the University of Illinois. So we're gonna steal her for as an Illinois transplant today, and she has the great privilege of serving on the National 4-H Board of Trustees and on the National Young Alumni Advisory Committee. And so some great experiences that Priya has. So thank you so much for joining me today, Priya. And during National 4-H Week, what a great time to be able to talk about all things 4-H. So let's get started. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, thank you for having me, first of all.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, my name is Priya Kumar. I'm an alumni of Skagit County 4-H in Washington State. I'm currently a senior in bioengineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I'm still very involved in 4-H. I am involved in a Young Alumni Task Force for Equity and Inclusion in Washington, as well as with National Board of Trustees and the Young Alumni Advisory Committee. Still looking for more ways to get involved with Illinois as well. So
We're gonna work on that next. So that's great. Tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get involved in 4-H to begin with?
yeah, so I first got involved in 4-H through an underwater robotics club called CTEC. My mom had learned about the club when I was about 5 years old from a demonstration they did, but I was way too young to join at that point. But she kept it on the back burner. She knew she wanted me to join. And when I was older, she got me involved. So I was in sixth grade when I started. I got really involved with the club and took on as many leadership roles as I could, in addition to actually developing our underwater robots.
Hmm.
In high school, I also expanded into other 4-H activities and started attending the Washington State Civic Engagement Conference called Know Your Government. I was a conference facilitator for that during my last 2 years, in addition to my involvement with CTEC. And I'm still, as I said, involved with 4-H and looking for more ways to get involved, especially since I'm now in Illinois. Yeah.
That's really cool. I love the underwater robotics. I think that would be really interesting to learn about. So, as you grew up in 4-H, what were some of your favorite projects or activities that you did? You talked a little bit about some of those as a 4-H member, but what were some of those favorite projects that you had?
Yeah, CTEC was definitely my favorite 4-H
Sure.
activity. It played a significant role in making me who I am today.
Hmm.
And I have a lot of fun memories from that experience, from being thrown into our demonstration pool on the last night at every county fair, to traveling with the team and driving from Washington to Texas to compete in NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab. The
Mm,
pool there has the mock-up of the space station, so we got to compete
mm,
in that pool, and that was
okay,
pretty cool.
that would be.
So, a lot of cool experiences from CTEC.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you this obviously made an impact on you. I mean, you're studying this at the University of Illinois, and so how do you feel that these experiences prepared you and influenced your life? What was that? Why, especially as you're looking at your major and your college and career path that you're headed down?
Yeah, so my experience in 4-H really allowed me to experiment with various leadership styles and learn the hard and soft skills that
Hmm.
I continue to use. So those engineering skills, technical skills, as well
Hmm.
as the interpersonal skills. So when I first joined 4-H, I was really shy. I would go home excited if I just talked to a teammate that day, and that to
Hmm.
me was a big deal.
Hmm.
But by being forced to talk to people at the county fair every year, presenting at our monthly business meetings, leading workshops during the Know Your Government conference, I started getting a lot more comfortable with speaking and having the
Hmm.
opportunity to practice that in a safe space.
Sure.
And now I've gotten to a point where I'm much more comfortable speaking. I enjoy presenting and kind of sharing my experiences with others. So that was definitely a big change. And it also CTEC specifically helped me realize my passion for engineering.
Hmm.
And that was a major factor for why I'm now studying bioengineering, and it's kind of put me on the career path I am on today. We, in that club, had to present our teams as companies.
Mhm.
I had already had an interest in business, coming from a family that has a background in small businesses, but having to present an engineering project as a business was something that I really enjoyed. And from that, I'm actually pursuing my own startup at the moment at the University of Illinois.
Okay.
So really involved with the startup ecosystem here, and that's what I plan to pursue after graduation. So
That's awesome. So what drew you to the University of Illinois? Why did you choose Illinois when you're from Washington?
yeah, so my dad actually grew up in Chicago. He moved here from India when he was 11,
Okay.
and he has always loved Chicago. My uncle still lives here, so we used to visit pretty often.
Okay.
And my uncle was like, it's a good engineering school, just apply, like, just in case,
Yeah.
just apply. And I really didn't want to initially. I was like, I toured the school, I didn't like it. I'm like, the program doesn't seem like it'd be a good fit. I'm like, why do I have to apply here? It's like, okay, whatever, I'll apply. And after I got in, I realized that a lot of the concerns I had about being a woman in engineering or the diversity of programs, being able to be involved with other activities that I'm interested in. I'm really enjoy like being Japanese and Indian, and
Mm-hmm.
there's the Japan house here. There's a big Indian community.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things I was looking for, I realized were here, and the concerns that I'd had from when I'd first toured were not actually here.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up loving the program, the people, the resources, and it was just a good fit.
Yeah, University of Illinois definitely does offer a wide variety, and it has so many diverse things that you can be involved in. And so I'm glad that you have found your place, and because I do think it's a great opportunity, and you just have found the right groups and right things to be involved with, which sounds fantastic. So I love seeing how all those things kind of come together and connect for our Illinois students for sure. So one of the things I know, you have a unique experience. You have such great experiences in 4-H, but you have a very unique experience because you serve on the National Board of Trustees for 4-H and on the Young Alumni Advisory Board. So tell me a little bit about those experiences, how you got involved in that, and really what kind of role are you playing as you're serving on those different national groups?
Yeah, so I got involved first with the Young Alumni Advisory Committee,
Hmm.
and then I got voted in during my second year of the 3-year term to be their representative as a voting member on the Board of Trustees. So, getting into the Young Alumni Advisory Committee, I was nominated by somebody in 4-H. I didn't know this was even a thing. I didn't know it was an opportunity. I had already been like, okay, my 4-H experience is over, like
Right.
sad
I'm
about it.
graduating. I'm going to be an
Yeah,
alum. Yeah.
yeah. And then it was actually after I graduated that I got involved with the Equity and Inclusion Task Force. And
Hmm.
it was the leader for that group who said, I'm going to nominate you for this. You should try getting involved.
Hmm.
And I had to be nominated. There was some questions that I had to submit answers to. There was an interview process, and then I was selected to be on this committee. And this has been an amazing experience. I've met diverse people from across the country who are doing amazing things. They're following their passions. There's a couple of us who are in STEM. Some are pursuing like public policy. Some have their own businesses selling and making clothing. There's such a big range of interests on the board, which I absolutely think is very
Right.
important. I love that. Of course, a lot of agriculture as well, being
Hmm.
4-H, but definitely interests across the board, which is great. And through this committee position, I get the chance to work with the executive team at National and give them feedback on the work that they're doing, trying to connect what local and state programs of 4-H need at the national level. What kind of support, trying to bridge
Hmm.
that gap, making sure things are
Hmm.
relevant.
Hmm.
So we do a lot of feedback on that sort of stuff, marketing, new programs that are coming out. Clover was launched recently. So things like that. And then as part of the Board of Trustees, I get to actually vote on some of the more strategy-based
Hmm.
things and like the direction of 4-H, and get to communicate what maybe someone in a club wants
Mhm.
from national. What kind of support do these people need?
Mhm.
And that's definitely been really amazing to be able to contribute those perspectives, especially hearing from younger kids who are currently in 4-H, like my brothers, and taking that information up. So, yeah, it's been a great learning experience.
What a wonderful experience, I think. And you have firsthand as a University of Illinois student to be able to even meet and interact with Chancellor Jones, who's a 4-H alum as well. And we love Chancellor Jones. So what a great opportunity that you have that firsthand to make those networks and build those connections. And as you develop and build your business and skills, those are great contacts that you're going to have as you go forward. So what a wonderful experience and what a great leadership opportunity. So thank you for serving in that role on top of everything else that you're doing. I think that's really neat. So would you encourage others to look for those kind of national opportunities and um,
Yeah, I definitely would. If you're involved in 4-H and aren't ready to step back, this is a great next step, especially if you have a lot to say about how 4-H can be improved.
mhm,
Everyone at the national level really wants to hear your honest opinion,
mhm.
which I think is great. They really do want to support the youth and what's going on in 4-H. So open up that line of communication, and I'd say definitely apply.
That's great. I think that's a great example. And I do think it's important. We try to put the youth voice in so many things that 4-H does. And so we always want to have that youth voice at the table. And so I'm so glad that you are serving in that role and having the opportunity to share, things that you see that others may not have the opportunity to see. They may be more removed from 4-H or hadn't been a volunteer for a long time. And so you have that fresh perspective, which I think is really good. So as you think back on all of your 4-H experiences, what's your favorite 4-H memory?
I think there's too many memories to really be able to pick just one. But something that definitely comes to mind is the all-nighters or late night meetings where the whole team's together. We're trying to get our machines working,
Hmm.
especially as someone who thought engineering was only like planes and trains and that sort of thing. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm working on this underwater robot, and everybody here is so passionate about this underwater robot and getting it to work. We would spend hours sitting next to a pool, taking this robot apart, putting it back together,
Right.
putting it back in the pool, testing it. Like, it
Hmm.
was just such a great team building experience, and definitely learned a lot from those experiences,
Sure.
because oftentimes we weren't only working on the actual machine itself, but also on technical documentation, posters, all of these other pieces that also went into competition.
Mhm.
So it was like we got to have that rounded, really intensive experience working together.
And tell me, so we have robotics. We do have a very active robotics group in Illinois. Tell me some examples of things that you've had to make the robot do, especially since it's underwater. It's similar to what our robotics program is, but
Yeah.
people may want to know, well, what do you do underwater? So, what are
Yeah,
some of those examples?
absolutely. So we participated in a program called Mate
Hmm.
ROV competition, and they every year would put out a request for proposals for a machine that could accomplish some task related to real engineering or scientific things that are going on in the
Hmm.
world, usually based on wherever the international competition was that year.
Hmm.
So we've done stuff related to replacing simulated oil pipelines, like
Okay.
pieces that pipeline, doing repairs, deploying sensors, trying to measure the temperature of water coming out of a little spout,
Uh-huh.
counting the number of starfish.
Hmm.
Uh, all these props are PVC,
Right,
but
right,
all
right.
simulated stuff. So a lot of that stuff, like the year we went to NASA, was actually pretty cool. The mission theme was Jupiter's moon, Europa.
Hmm.
It was about that moon being covered in a sheet of ice. So there's talk about drilling through that ice and actually deploying a machine like
Hmm.
an ROV to explore and try to find life in
Right.
space. So
And those are all things that are real world experiences. You're just getting to do it in a simulation experience, which I think is really neat. to understand that and to know those opportunities are there. So yeah, thank you for explaining, because some people may not know what all that means, and since we don't have that here in Illinois yet, so hopefully you'll help us get something like that started. But
I would love to.
so my final question is, what advice would you give to a young 4-H member today if they're interested in 4-H?
Yeah, I would say definitely follow your passions and don't be afraid of going down the not so typical life path. There's so many ways to reach your goals, and the best way is the one that works for you. 4-H gives you so many opportunities to pursue things that you want to pursue in the way that you want to. So definitely take advantage of those opportunities.
That's a great advice. Great advice. Anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share about your 4-H experience?
I think you just about covered
Okay.
it. If people are interested in talking to me or learning more, they're welcome to reach out.
Absolutely. Well, Priya, it has been so wonderful to be able to visit with you today and learn more about your 4-H experiences, and especially seeing firsthand, right? You're at Illinois and you're studying your passion because of 4-H, and so 4-H has definitely made an impact on your life. And so, thank you very much for joining us today. So this has been Illinois 4-H Clover Connection, and we thank you for joining us yet again. Happy National 4-H Week.